people. How you doing? How your mama doing? I'm testing out my new, I wish I could show y'all, but I can't. I'm testing out my new contraption. It's one of these things that you put your phone on so you don't have to hold it. Look at my hands. No hands. Okay. And it also has a light on it as well. So I can't show it to you because my phone is hooked to it, obviously. But I saw my coach with it and I was like, bruh, I need that. Right? Anyway, that's my random comment for the day. Y'all know I always got to give you at least one random comment. Hey, Beverly. Hey, Nabe. How you doing? How your mama doing? So I wanted to jump on today, one, because I haven't done a Facebook Live in like a week or so. Sometimes when I travel, I get lazy, which is not how it's supposed to work. Of course, I still post and, share stuff, but I don't typically do as many Facebook Lives. So I figured I would jump on today and answer some of the questions, at least one particular question that gets asked of me frequently, right? Which is all around, who is your market, right? And, I should probably share this while I'm talking. Y'all should share it too, just FYI. So one of the biggest questions that I get asked as I'm sorry, I can't do more than one thing at a time, and so trying to read y'all comments and share this video and talk is just obviously a no for me. So one of the things that I get asked pretty frequently is around either niches or who your market is or how to identify your ideal client. Oh man, I ain't gonna worry about it. My light just went out because of this contraption. Anyway, so I think y'all can still see me because I turned the other light on. So because one of the questions that I get asked the most is around how to identify your market, especially, and here's the reason why I think it gets asked the most, because the online space is not nearly, listen to me, okay? When it comes to leveraging this online space, it is 100% different than trying to leverage the offline space, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why people ask me this question around market, who your market is and niching and all of that, more because I leverage the online space to build my business, right? So I tell y'all all the time that you should get coaching or advice or information or whatever from people who are doing it the way that you want to do it, right? So because I don't do a lot of offline marketing, I can't talk to you a lot about offline marketing. I could talk to you about it to some degree because marketing is marketing is marketing. But I think people ask me specifically around this question is because I do leverage the online space. Hey, Paula. Hey, Carnila. Because I do leverage the online space. And one of the things that I find really common and really interesting is people say all the time, oh, I'm so much better offline than I am online, right? Like it's a lot harder for me to gain traction and make money, et cetera, online than it is offline. So let's address why that is today. I'm gonna try to do my best to not eat these Oreos while I'm on the Facebook Live. No, because that's not helpful. So here, let me tell you a couple things. So one, I think a lot of people have more success by their terminology. Hey, coach. More success in the offline space because there's not as many distractions. First of all, there's lots of reasons. We could talk about algorithms. We could talk about messaging. We could talk about having a captive audience. There's lots of different reasons. But when you're in the online space, you have to figure out how to stand out. You have to figure out how to get super clear, right? What works on the offline space will not work nearly as well in the online space because there's a lot more people here. Right? Anytime you have a lot more people, you have to figure out what your lane is, how to communicate what your lane is, and how to get people interested and converting in this lane. And offline, typically when I hear people talking about offline, 9 times out of 10, they're either talking about networking or they're talking about speaking from the stage. And in each of those incidents, you have a very captive audience. Whereas in the online space, you don't have a captive audience unless you figure out how to make them captive to your particular message. Other than that, people are scrolling and laughing at memes and crying at stupid videos and, doing whatever people do, connecting with family members. So I figured I would just jump on and answer this particular question because who your market is, I say this all the time. Your business is not about what you do. Okay? Your business is about who you serve. Right? So many times we waste so much energy, time, money creating products and services that never actually either get launched, or when they do get launched, there's crickets. Why? Because we don't fully understand our market, right? We don't really understand what our people want. I just had a conversation with someone earlier today who was talking to me about the course that she was creating. And one of the things that I mentioned to her is that, is this what your audience wants? And she was like, well, this is what my audience needs. They get stuck with blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're going to have a challenge selling that particular course. And I explained to her that you can't sell people what you feel like they need. You have to get clear about what your particular market wants. Right? Like if you keep trying to create things that people need, because the truth is, I had this conversation with somebody else earlier today about this is one of the places where personal development people get stuck, because a lot of the personal development outcomes, right, the results that you get when you're working in personal development, you got to be super clear in your message. Why? Because things like confidence and time management and less stress, etc., are not things that people typically pay for. Like one of the things that you have to understand as an entrepreneur and as a business owner is, what do people actually pay for? Right? Because there's a lot of things that I need, but I don't actually pay for them. Right? There are a lot of things that you need, but you don't actually spend a bunch of time and energy. You don't spend your money to actually get them, even though you know that's what you need. I'm not even going to go into my own issue while I'm eating these Oreos. I'm pretty sure y'all can figure that out. Although I am hiring a personal trainer, but don't judge me. So let's talk about, what does it look like to actually get super clear about who it is that you serve. So one, you probably have already seen the text message at the top of the caption in this video, is because there's a free lead magnet that shows you exactly how to identify your market, right? So you can listen to the rest of this video, because videos are typically more helpful than hey Shiva, videos are typically more helpful than a PDF or some kind of download. So the two combined will be perfect. But if you're interested in getting the PDF, you can text the number that's at the top of the video. So anyway, okay, here's the thing that I want you to understand related to your market. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back who did not hear me. Number one, your business is not about what you do. It is not about your lovely products and services. It is about who you serve. Okay? That's it. Because why? Because every single thing that you do in your business is based on your market, right? What products you create, the price point of those products, where you sell those products online or offline, how you position those products, all of that information is based on who you serve. So if you're looking at trying to figure out, well, why am I not making the money that I want to make, or why is my revenue not, going the way that I want it to go, whether it's I'm trying to scale or whether I'm just trying to be consistent, one of the things that you need to start by looking at is, who is it that I'm serving? Right? So I think that you should pause, right? And pause could mean an hour, it could mean a day, it could mean a week. Whatever pause needs to happen for you to get super clear about, all right, well, who is my market? Okay? Why? Because clarity breeds consistency. It breeds increased action. One of the things that you have to start looking at is, if you're having issues being consistent in one or more areas in your business, guess what? It is probably because there's a lack of clarity on the how to do one or more things, right? The more clear you get about things, the better results that you get, okay? So that's why I'm doing this series for the next couple of days, all throughout this week, just talking about clarity, because I see so many people, number one, who come to me specifically around clarity, but then also just have questions about various aspects of the business. Okay, so number one, the first thing that I want you to think about is the difference between your target market and your ideal client. Okay, we're not doing a deep dive around ideal clients. We'll touch on them because they're connected, but I want you to understand that they're not the same, right? So your market is the broad group of people that you're servicing. Your ideal client is the specific dream client that you desire to attract. Okay, sometimes people use those words interchangeably, and they're using their market and ideal client, and they're connected, right? They're super connected. But I want you to understand the difference, because usually when we're talking about your market, we're talking about, let me use myself as an example. So my market is coaches and consultants, right? my focus is on people who have service-based or expert-based businesses. That's my market. That's not my ideal client, right? My ideal client is not all coaches, right? Because there are different segments of the market, right? One of the things that the PDF that you can text in and get, it talks about how you identify your own segment. So if my market is coaches and consultants, for example, then what are the segments of that market? So I could be talking to aspiring coaches. I could be talking to newbies, so people that maybe just launched their business in the last 6 months or the last year. I could be talking to vets, right? People who've been doing it for 5, 10, 15 years. I could be talking to Black. I could be talking to women. I could be talking to millennials. Like, there's literally a million segments of any market. And this is why it becomes important for you to get clear about who your market is. Why? Because how I talk to, let's say, millennial coaches versus vet coaches are not the same, right? A millennial coach is going to be turned off by some of the things that I'm going to say to a vet, and a vet coach is going to be turned off by some of the things that I would say to a millennial, right? So this is why you have to identify your lane, your segment of the market. And it doesn't mean you only have to service one segment, but you can only speak to one segment at a time. Like, I wish I could just spend a whole video just talking about that. I'm not. I will say that I just got a testimonial from someone who I was helping with their branding. And she sent me a couple of paragraphs that just talked about the shift that she's making in her business because how much clarity she's gotten in her brand and who she serves, right? And the fact that she's been trying to talk to more than one avatar at a time. And that's the thing that's been throwing her entire business off, right? Trying to talk to this person and this person and this person. Why? Because the problems are connected. But the problems aren't the same, which means the outcomes are not the same. I digress because that'll take me all over the place. The thing that I want you to understand is that your market and your ideal client, two different people. That's number one. The second thing that I want you to think about is when you're looking at who to serve, I want you to focus predominantly, not only, but predominantly, most importantly, is the problem that you can solve, right? Whether you're selling a book, whether you're selling a coaching program, a course, like whatever it is that you're selling, it solves some kind of problem for people. And you got to get clear about what that problem is. And you need to get clear about what problems you're capable of solving, right? You have to find this balance between here's what my audience wants, right? And what I mean by that is what are people already coming to you for and what are they saying that their problem is? Because sometimes I see people coming up with new products and new services and their audience has not asked them for that at all. And sometimes it's because of our own experience. It's like, oh, well, I needed this, or I wanted this, or I struggled with this. And so that's a good place to start. Like, there's literally that's not bad as a place to start. Why? Because almost all coaches and consultants are teaching from their own experience, right? But the problem is if you only focus, hey Camille, if you only focus on your own personal experiences, you will miss a segment of, like, your ability to launch a program and launch a service or whatever it is that you're doing is directly connected to your clientele wanting that service. So let me say it a little clearer, because I will go off on a tangent. The thing that you have to learn to do is validate your idea. Okay, before you go into full-blown create a 12-week program or a course, like, learn to validate your idea first. And so what that looks like is like, okay, today I've been talking to people and I found out that people really are struggling with, I don't know, let's just use weight loss, okay? And I'm going to go out and create a whole program around weight loss. Wait a minute. Validating your idea looks like talking to your audience. Some people call it market research, call it whatever you want. But before you go out and jump off the ledge and spend all of this time creating a product or service, get clear that that's what your audience actually wants. It's not something that, it can't just be something that you needed and that's why you're creating it. Right? It can start there. It can absolutely start there. I see people all the time who, well, I needed somebody to encourage me, so I'm now encouraging people. That's cool. But validate your idea before you spend a whole bunch of time, money, and energy there. Because this is another conversation that I was having with someone yesterday. Is that sometimes we focus so much on our passion, right? Our desire to help people, that we don't necessarily connect that to money, which is so backwards to me. Why? Because we all trying to make money in business. Otherwise, you would just volunteer, or you would have a hobby, or so don't be so connected to the passion aspect. Like, nobody's saying skip the passion, but sometimes we get so emotionally connected to what we're doing that if we don't have passion for it, we can't do it. Bruh, I don't got passion for these kids I got half of the time. But they still get fed and they still get clothes, right? They still getting stuff paid for. We still spending quality time. Hey, Tashanta. So sometimes I want us to get out of this mind, and I'm really off my script already because I can't focus to save my life. I blame tomorrow, but never mind. So sometimes we get so focused on passion that we don't connect it to money. Like, how long are you going to go in your business without bringing in the kind of money that you want to bring in before you decide to make a shift, right? Because there should be, every business is different, right? So I'm talking to coaches and consultants. And so hitting a 5K mark consistently every month is super doable. Yes, profit over passion, like for real. Like, whoever told us, and I'm really talking to black people. Why? Because we tend to be the most passionate, emotionally driven people ever. And I get it to some degree. But if you don't learn to curve that from a business perspective, your profits will, your revenue, every month you'll continue to be irritated by what you're not bringing in. So I digress. So 1, I told you the difference between your market and your ideal client. 2 is you need to get really clear on the problems that your ideal client has, your market has, the things that you feel like you are capable of solving, right? That's number 2. Your entire business, right, is based on the problem. I'm not going to go there because that'll spend me a whole nother 45 minutes, and I'm not going to be on here for 45 minutes. Okay, so then when you start talking about, after you've gotten clear, okay, here are the results that my product or my service or my brand or the thing that I want to be able to do in my business, right? After you've gotten clear on that, then you have to get clear on, okay, here's something for you to think about, because sometimes people struggle with this. Well, I don't know what I can help people with, right? Especially for those of you who feel like you can help people do a lot of things, or there's a lot of different results. So for me, in business coaching, there's a lot of different results that we could help you get, right? Like, literally, there's lots of different aspects of business, from marketing to sales to your ideal client to technology to you name it. So sometimes it's like, okay, well, what is the result? How can I get clear about the results that I saw? Well, part of how you do that is you look at your own successes, right? And sometimes we discount the successes that we've had, but there are things that other people never have had, right? And I say this all the time. So the very first webinar that I did, I made a couple $1,000s from that webinar with only 4 people on the webinar. Why? Because I know what I'm doing, right? So now I get to scale that particular method of marketing, right? So that's something that I could now teach somebody else, provided that I can continue to get consistent results in that area. So look at the other results. All right, so I've pitched from the stage, I've sold from the stage, I've gotten people to pay me, right? I've gotten people to pay in full, even when it is not even my demographic, right? Like, this is not even my ideal client. Somehow I ended up on this stage. Now, I would never recommend that people do that now. First of all, I wouldn't have recommended that you do it then. However, I ended up on this stage pitching to people and talking to people about business, and they were artists and singers and people who are in a realm that I don't service, right? My realm is coaches and consultants. Why? Because that's the group of people who I know I can get results with quickly. Now, if you have a product-based business, it doesn't mean I can't help you. It's just that I'm not going to be the very best, right? Because I don't have products outside of a digital course, which to me is not really a product, but somebody might call that a product. Okay. Outside of that, like, the way you pitch or the way you sell a book is different than how you sell a coaching program. They're different, right? Again, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I want you to understand, look at your own successes and don't discount them. Look at what you've already achieved with what you've already sold, right? What segment of the market has already been buying your stuff or has shown interest in your Facebook Lives or whatever it is that you're doing to market your products and services. Look at your own successes. The other thing that I would say is make sure that you're focused on, and I said this earlier, But I find a lot of times people get confused with this. But I really want you to focus on why people buy. Again, I hate to put people on blast because it's just not appropriate. It will damage relationships. But I want you to understand what people pay for and what they don't. Okay? So I'm going to use this as an example because I already told her anyway. So it's not like it's a secret. So I was talking to someone about time management, right? And I was talking about, again, so many times we're focused on giving people what they need, right? Because as an entrepreneur, I absolutely have to manage my time. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I know from the full-time entrepreneurs who have no jobs, one of the things that they struggle with the most is time management. They all over the place, and therefore they're not making a lot of money. Now, that's not all full-time entrepreneurs, but I have enough full-time entrepreneurs in my circle to know that many of them struggle with time management. So it's absolutely a need. Let me be very clear. But guess what they're not going to do? Myself included. Many of us are not getting ready to, hey, April, many of us are not getting ready to pay $1,000, $5,000, whatever your price point is, to be able to help me manage my time. Even though it's absolutely something that many of us need. So it's not a question of need. Right? It's not that it's not that it's not a problem. The problem is it has to be something that people want. Right? It has to be something that people really genuinely want. And there are a lot of things that people don't want that bad. Right? Do I want to manage my time? Sure I do. But I don't want it as bad as I want to make some money in my business. Now, anybody could tell you that managing your time and making money in your business are absolutely connected. But guess what I'm going to pay for? I'm going to pay for somebody that's going to help me make money in my business. Right? So I want you to get really clear about why people buy. Right? If you get clear about why people buy, it will help you with your marketing and your messaging and all the other things that you have to do in your business, instead of focusing on kind of the bigger stuff. Okay? Get laser focused on the results that you can provide. And then make sure that those results are things that your clientele would pay for. Right? That's key. The thing that I find that, and then I'm getting off of here because I'll be on here talking all day. The thing that I find when it comes to identifying your market, your ideal client, your niche, whatever people want to call it, is a lot of times people are focused on the demographics. Right? Well, what age are they? What race are they? What income level are they? Et cetera, et cetera. And while that's important, it's not nearly as important as some of the other aspects of identifying your ideal client and your market. Right? So number one, you need to get clear about your market. Right? What segment of the market are you going to serve? And then get clear about who your dream client or your ideal client is. Right? Like, those are not the same. They're connected. So number one, get clear about who you're called to serve. And I use the word called to serve loosely because people will get stuck with called. Okay, so let me just give you an example. In my time with God, I've asked him multiple times. Why? Because somehow I didn't believe him the first time he told me, stay out of my business. Okay, but I asked him, okay, God, who am I called to serve? Who do you call me to impact? You know what he tells me every time that I've ever asked him that? The message doesn't change, FYI, because he doesn't change. Leaders. That's who I'm called to serve. Leaders. Why? Because my primary gift is leadership. Y'all know I study gifts. At least you might know that. Okay, so but here's the challenge. God told me I was called to leaders. Like, I'm meant to impact leaders. Okay. But leaders is too broad from a business perspective. That means I got to take what God told me, right, and move it over here into the business realm. Y'all see, I still got this Oreo. Because I'm resisting until I get off of this video. And now I have to figure out, well, what segment of leaders aligns with what I'm able to help people with, right? So again, if you're looking to identify the segments of your market, I already gave the example earlier. If you just jumped on, because I see some people just jumped on, go back and watch it from the beginning. What is it? I don't know what you're talking about, April. You too. I thought it was only, you're probably talking about that guy comment I just made. So I say all of that to say, don't focus so much on the demographics. right? You absolutely need to know the demographics of your audience, but that's not more important than the results you provide. It's not more important than the challenges that they have. It's not more important than the desires that they have. Those things are doggone important too. Demographics help you identify where your market is, right? So my demographics is 35 to 50, right? So me knowing my demographics means, okay, I'm probably better suited on Facebook than I am on Instagram, because Instagram has a much lower, okay, got a comment, Instagram has a younger audience. Now there are 35-year-olds on Instagram too, but there are predominantly millennials that are on Instagram. And guess who else? Product-based businesses are predominantly on Instagram. So understanding your demographic is helpful, but it's not the place for you to spend all of your time. The thing that you got to get clear about is, what challenges is your audience having? What desires do they have? Right? And you can't do that until you've identified the segment of the market that you want to capitalize off of. Again, you can touch more than one segment of of your market. So I used this example earlier. If my focus is on coaches is my market, right? But there's probably 100, more than 100, but let's just say 100 different types of coaches, right? So I have to figure out which of these coaches are the people that I can help get the quickest results, the best results, maybe who I feel called to. Again, don't focus your attention so much on who you're called to. Who you're called to matters. I want you to hear me clearly, but don't focus so much attention. You need to be able to identify the segment of your market in order for everything else to flow, right? In order for your marketing to work, in order for your product launches, your service launches to work, right? In order for your emails to be open, all that stuff comes from you understanding the segment of your market. So if you know you need to get clear, I'm going to be talking about clarity all week. If you know you need to get clear on who your market is, what segment of the market that you serve, then you need to download the lead magnet that's at the top of this video. So you're just going to text the word market, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about who is my market, right? If you know you need to stop creating things, thing after thing after thing, and it not selling, and you need to get super clear about who am I called to serve, what's my lane, what's my market, my niche, whatever you want to call it, guess what? Then you definitely need this PDF. So you're going to text the word market to 574-330-0405. Again, 574-330-0405. And I would love to hear you guys' feedback, right? It's 4 steps. You literally could solve this problem today if you wanted to. Today, not tomorrow, today. Why? Because clarity breeds action. The more clear you get about a particular thing, the momentum starts to kick in. Okay, now that I've gotten clear that I want to serve this segment of single moms, or this segment of veterans, or this whatever, right? Like when you get clear about the segment of the market that you want to work with, you get a little pep in your step and you're ready to get into action. And guess what? It will begin to impact your bottom line. Why? Because everything in your business is based on who you serve. It's not based on what you do. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, share out the video, tag some friends, let people know that they all need to get clear about their market, right? Because we know that that is absolutely crucial to you being able to generate revenue into your business. So I will be doing 2 more videos this week, specifically around clarity. I probably will do more than 2 videos this week, but these 2, this is just video 1 of a 3-video series that is connected to getting clear. All week we're talking about clarity. Why? Because the moment you get clear about something, then you can move into action, right? That's why people develop business plans. That's why people have some kind of blueprint. Why? Because it steers them in the direction that they want to go. And there are less distractions, right? There's always going to be distractions, but there are less distractions when you're clear about where it is that you're trying to get to. So I hope you guys have a fabulous, I think today is Monday. Yeah, fabulous Monday, or whatever day that you're catching the replay. And I hope this was helpful. Peace.